alongside Tony Jardine. Delighted to welcome Paul Stoddart, boss of Minardi, owner of Minardi. People tell me you must be crackers buying that team.
Sometimes I wonder why, Jim, but no, I mean, it was a business decision, and Formula One's where we want to be. I think it's still going places, and we're sort of effectively 1/12 of it, and I'm pretty pleased about that.
How have you enjoyed your season so far?
It's been great. I mean, against all the odds we got to Melbourne, a lot of people thought we wouldn't. At times, I suppose, we thought we wouldn't as well, but we made it. Fernando, real star, credible performance in Melbourne, both cars home in Malaysia, and a top 10 finish in Brazil, so it's not the worst.
Okay, Fernando Alonso, we're going to look at him in qualifying a little bit later on. But let's just go through, what about your man, Fernando Alonso, 19, youngest on the grid, and he's got ahead of the Benettons and the Jaguar as well.
And not for the first time either, Jim. I mean, he really is going to go somewhere. That lap yesterday, it was an absolute stunner, and with performances like that, we've got ourselves a star.
And he said he's never driven a single lap like it.
No, I think, as I said before, it was him, not the car. It really, really was a stunning lap.
Good. Okay, Tony. Okay, Paul, you're not going to be using traction control. Why is that?
Well, I certainly said I wouldn't be, Jim, but looking out this window at this weather, we might be making some last-minute adjustments. Really, it's an advantage for a wet or a wet-to-drying track. In the dry, in a perfectly clear day, not too much advantage.
Overall, what do you feel about it?
I'm sad by it. I think really most of the drivers would prefer not to use it, but it's certainly cleaned up any misgivings in the sport. So from that side, it's very good, but I'm not a great supporter of it. I think the World Championship is for the best driver, and the best driver should drive the car naturally. Just explain your approach to the season. I remember you saying to me in Australia, one single point. That's all we want. What difference would that make to you? It makes a lot of difference financially to us, and obviously from a motivational point of view, it would be fantastic.
Just tell us about that financial difference.
Well, the financial difference is several $1 million in, simply put, TV money from the position, if you're in 10th or 11th or 12th, the top 10 share the spoils, far more better than the last two.
And what about your engine? Have you got a good enough engine in the car at the moment? And are you going to get another one?
Well, we've obviously got an engine that's performing very credible. I mean, for Fernando to be 2.8 seconds behind Schumacher, given their budget, our budget, if people think about that, we haven't done too badly. But we're down on horsepower. We need another 50 horsepower, and we know exactly what it's going to take to do it. And yes, we are talking to a couple of engine manufacturers about solving that problem sooner rather than later.
Right, you're going to lob in a couple of names for us while you're here, are you?
How did you hear yesterday, Paul?
No, I can say that they are existing engine manufacturers that are already on that grid today. So hopefully we'll be able to announce something in a couple of races.
I think Eddie Jordan has been the last sort of privateer to break through into Formula One, and it's a big corporate business now. Can you really do it on your own?
I think we can. I mean, I think we've proved a lot just by getting to Melbourne, and our performance since Melbourne hasn't been too bad. I mean, we didn't have the best race in Imola, but it was always going to happen at some point. We're okay. I mean, the field this year have closed up, and traction control will make them close up even more. I think given where we've come from and where we're heading to, our 5-year strategy, yeah, I believe we can do it.
Your man Alonso, who we've spoken about from Oviedo, have you got him signed up for next season?
We've got him signed for next year, and obviously 2003 he's a Renault driver. However, for this year, next year, and the only clause on his contract for next year is to give him a good engine, and that's what we're working towards doing.
Do you ever feel you're not actually on a level playing field here? I mean, Ferrari tested thousands and thousands of kilometres last week. You didn't do anything, did you, Hartley?
It's very hard. I think it showed more on Tasso. Obviously, Fernando, home track, knows the track well, but take someone like Tasso, hasn't seen this track for 3 years, and no testing. I mean, people pound around Barcelona. It's one of the favoured test tracks. They do thousands and thousands of kilometres. Our first test, other than a small shakedown test on a straight line track, was last week, and that was all around traction control.
Just finally, your hopes for the Spanish Grand Prix?
I'd like to see a top 10 finish. Anything can happen, and as Murray says, usually does, so let's hope it happens for us today.
You're not having to keep lines, by the way. Good, Paul, thanks very much for joining us. Good luck in the race today.
Thanks, Jim.